Hey guys, Harold Autistic back with another book video. Yes, I am wearing a shirt with my cat on it. Deal with it. And so my last and first book video was on my top 10 reads of 2024. And I do have some honorable mentions. I read 61 books this year, which is a new record for me. And I had hoped I would have room for honorable mentions in the first video, but TikTok will only allow you a maximum of 10 minutes. So let's get started. First being Dante's Inferno. This was really good. It's now, as Lutherans, and my platform is for education on Lutheranism and autism. So, as Lutherans, we would have issues with Dante's view of purgatory on here, but despite that, it's just a classic. Great poetry. So this was definitely well worth the read. It's not as long as it actually looks. Most of it is actually end notes, so it's the actual content is not as long as this length appears to be in this edition. The next book, by the way, these are in no particular order, they're just honorable mentions, but the next one is the Lost World, the second book of the Jurassic Park duology. So in my top 10 books, I had Jurassic Park as number 9, and I didn't like this one as much as the first book, but it was still a good read. And again, like the first book, reading the first book, if you've seen the first movie, is not redundant. And even more so with this, like, forget what you know about the movie The Lost World. It is absolutely nothing like this book. So I still recommend that you pick this up and read it. Next honorable mention is Andy Weir's The Martian. And I had his project Hail Mary on my top 10 reads. I like that one more than The Martian, but this was still very enjoyable. Absolutely hilarious. Some science stuff in here, but nothing that really goes over your head, like Michael Crichton's books would. But it's not too different than the movie, but there are some humorous moments that are missing in the movie that I was disappointed about. But this was very good, very funny. The next honorable mention is Halo Epitaph by Kelly Gay. Of course, this will only appear to Halo fans. This is it's the Didact story after he dies in Halo 4. Yeah, Halo 4. And does he come back from the dead? Yes and no. He's in the domain, and it's basically a redemption story for the Didact, and it answers some questions as well between Halo 4 and 5. So for Halo fans, I'd recommend you pick this up and read it. It's not very long. And Kelly Gay, she's a great author. She's written several other Halo books, and everything I've read by her has been really good. The next one might seem odd, but it's Slender Man. The author is anonymous, and it's basically just like a collection of I think, if I remember correctly, like diaries, interviews, text messages, newspaper clips surrounding a specific case about Slender Man, based on the creepypasta forums and stuff like that. So it's very lore accurate, and it was really fun to read. So if you like the legend of the mythical Slender Man, you'd probably like this book. But again, very different type of read because it's a collection of various types of media. Now, the rest of these honorable mentions are going to be by Stephen King. I read a lot of Stephen King this year, and again, these are in no particular order, but the first one being Misery. It's is quite different than the movie. I won't say exactly what because of spoilers, but it's not vastly different, but it's different enough to make the book to have the book be a different experience. So if you like the movie and you like to read, I'd still suggest that you, or recommend that you read Misery, the book. The next one is The Shining. Now, this was quite a bit different than the movie. I love Jack Nicholson in the movie, but I've never really been a big fan of the movie because I forget their names, but the actors who played the wife and the boy, their acting is kind of well, the woman, she overacts, and it's just weird to me. So I like those two characters a lot more in the book. The ending is completely different than the movie, I will say that, and I would say I prefer the way that the book ends. And the main thing I will say though is that in the book, the character Jack Nicholson played, he's not like, he is the antagonist, but he's also the victim. So I'll just leave it at that. The next one is Salem's Lot, which has been on my to-read list for a long time, and like a lot of his books, it's quite thick. All I'll say about this, if you haven't seen the movie or whatever, is that it's basically Bram Stoker's Dracula, the book, not the stupid movie. It's horrible. It's basically Dracula, like a modernized version of Dracula. That's all I'll say about it, but it's really good. The next one is one of Stephen King's newer books, Fairy Tale. I was uncertain about this one. Obviously, it's quite the departure for Stephen King because, as you know, you probably know, he sticks mainly to horror, and this is, as the title suggests, well, being a fairy tale, fantasy. But there are some horror elements. It's not like jump scare, bloody, gory horror, but just horror in the sense of some scary aspects, some horror aspects. It's a blend of the two genres, fantasy and horror. Just some really scary things that in the universe that the main character finds himself in. And the universe he finds himself in is also kind of like the Chronicles of Narnia, in the sense that, you know, the characters, they go through a wardrobe and experience this fantastical world. The boy here, he goes, you know, through a hole at the bottom of a shed and finds himself in a fantastical world. So that's the only way it's like Narnia. All right, the next one is Cujo. I really like this book. I originally had it on my top 10, but again, I read 61 books, and there were others I would rather have had on it. So it was a hard decision for me to take off. And sorry, I gotta smell it. It's an addiction, I know, but really good. I was just completely gripped. It's not your typical, you know, supernatural horror that we're used to with Stephen King, but it's I guess you would say natural horror. The dog is just a dog, you know. It's not like a demon possessed dog. Unlike the next book, Christine, which is not just a car, it's like a demon possessed car, right? Not literally a demon, but something else possesses it. But I won't spoil that for you if you haven't seen the movie or read the book. But I really like this book as well. My wife read it a long time ago. Oh no, she didn't read it. I think maybe she did. I can't remember. But she watched the movie, and I read the book before. I still haven't seen the movie actually. But anyway, she said it's her favorite Stephen King. So I really like this book. This is the second last honorable mention, and the last one, The Green Mile. This I wanted to put on my top 10, but again, there are others I preferred and couldn't fit it on there. This, out of the Stephen King books I've read so far, I'd say this is probably the book where the movie is the most closest to the book. There are some deviations, but nothing quite vast as, say, The Shining, for example. But I really, really like this book. It's just as good as the movie, which is my favorite Stephen King movie. So there you have it. Honorable mentions of 2024. Okay, bye.